Welcome to the Thriving Artist Podcast, where we share strategies and support for artists to thrive.
We know that the art world can feel like a lonely place, and we want to provide a network of support, impactful strategies, and an abundance of encouragement to help you grow your authentic art career.
We're your hosts. I'm Jamie Smith.
And I'm Kaylan Butine, and we are also the co-founders of the Thrive Together Network, a community of female and non-binary identifying artists and artists who are caregivers.
We truly believe in community over competition, and we're so glad you're here. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Thriving Artist Podcast. I'm Jamie Smith, and I am one of your hosts, and I have a new little baby. So this episode is something near and dear to my heart and very recent for me.
And I'm Kaylan Butine, your second host. I have 3 kids, so I have had to think a lot about maternity leave and how to kind of put some systems in place to help you through those new baby times and recovery as a parent. So this episode is called How to Plan for Maternity Leave as an Artist. Jamie, where are we going to start with this? This is a big one.
This is a really important topic, and I think it's something that's never really discussed or not often enough. And it's really crucial to think about as an artist. I think in other jobs and other careers, of course, this is something that you would think about when you're starting a family. But why, as artists, are we any different? So I'm really excited to dive in.
Yeah, we need like a whole primer on this as an artist because,
yes,
sometimes we get flexibility, but that doesn't mean that we can't not have a plan. Like we still have to know what we're doing. So,
And our first tip for how to plan maternity leave as an artist is planning ahead. So it's never too early to start, and probably you need to start pretty early because we need to consider a lot of things in this plan. Our financial situation, commitments that we've made. Often we're applying for shows months, years in advance. And we got to think about how we're going to be able to take time off and how much time we're comfortable taking off. And this is so important to have clear communication and clear conversations with your support system. So what makes sense to your family? What is possible? We, of course, are big believers in planning, and we had to do this together, Kayla and I, actually, for me to take a mat leave from TTN. And it was so important that we were able to we were planning from the moment I found out I was pregnant, so 9 months. And even before that, had talked a lot about it because that was something that we both knew was going to happen for me. And so, it's like any big goal, it takes a lot of that prep time to get there to the finish line. So yeah, definitely plan ahead is our tip number 1.
Our second tip, you kind of led us right into that, Jamie, is to communicate openly. We really just think more artists need to talk about family planning. It should be something that we are all being in conversation about, if it relates to your life. And it certainly is not just the mother's job or, the female identifying person who may be carrying the baby, as the person who is primarily responsible for these conversations. It takes a village to kind of raise a kid and also to bring a kid in the world and to support the parents who are going through that journey. So you really need to communicate openly to those who support you, the businesses, that you're in relationships with, whether that's gallery owners, clients, fellow artists, just letting them know your plans so they can support you and adjust their expectations accordingly, and so that you can communicate when you set up these boundaries for yourself.
I think it can be a little scary to even say that you want to have a family as an artist because we have so many responsibilities. We're basically solopreneurs, and plus we're making the actual thing that we're trying to get out in the world. And I know for me, and I know from working with so many female identifying artists at Thrive, it's very much like, do I want to even say that I'm thinking I might want to have a kid? Because will galleries work with me? Will I be supported? So I feel like I just wanted to emphasize how hard that one can be, that open communication.
Yeah, it can be
So
hard, but I also think that the more we are open about it, the more we normalize that experience and um yeah, like, certainly have those conversations in places you feel safe, but let's be willing to be vulnerable because I think that like makes it more transparent for everybody, right?
yes, I agree. And our third tip that's going to help with all of this is about delegation. So, this is really important, especially when we're thinking about planning ahead. If we do everything ourselves, maybe we don't want to just put everything on pause because we're going to be a new parent, but instead we could consider hiring an assistant or have someone that can handle our administrative tasks as well as social media. I will say from my recent experience, in those first couple months, you cannot get things done. I thought maybe I could, send a newsletter or have things. I just thought maybe I could do some things. Of course, like every A type want to do it all person. Not a chance. I was so sleep deprived. I was so focused on something else. And I'm
Mhm.
really happy I was able, and thanks to Kaylan and the things that we set up, I was able to really just have that focus. So if there's anything that you think your future self will want done during that time, please have it planned and scheduled or have someone hired that can be doing those things for you because I don't know, maybe maybe I was different than other people could handle it, but there was no way that I was going to be posting or scheduling or really selling art, to be honest, at that point.
Mhm.
So just making sure you're really thinking about your future overtired self and helping them out.
Absolutely. Okay, tip number 4 for how to plan for maternity leave as an artist is to do some self-care.
Yeah.
Pregnancy and early motherhood can be really physically and emotionally taxing, so just make sure you're taking care of yourself. Your art is important, but it's really not as important as your health, not as important as your family. So having realistic expectations on yourself, just in this season of life is really crucial. And I think even, as artists, it's like when we have a kid, I know this is how I was, like, I just kind of wanted to jump right into like, well, how am I going to make art? Like, when am I going to fit this in? And like, maybe the first question could be, how am I going to take care of myself?
Hmm.
And art might be part of that self-care, but you're still a human first, right? So,
Yes. And if you're not looked after, I can assure you so many other people don't get looked after and other things
mhm,
start to fall apart. So
mhm,
you're really important and the thing you've created is this like a baby,
mhm.
whether you're supporting or, carry the child doesn't matter. It's that this life is dependent on you and that's a huge responsibility and that's a creative practice as well. So um
Absolutely.
don't forget. And we talk a lot about like Kaylin and I really emphasize seasons for things. So just know that this is a season. I'm already, months I'm I'm months in and I
Mhm.
can't believe how much has changed. And people said to me how quickly it goes. And in those first early weeks, I thought they were nuts. I didn't want to hear it. I was like, I am in this. I'm up every 2 hours. But it honestly does go really fast. And
Mhm,
I think I try to remember that I have my art for the rest of my life, but I
mhm,
only have this very short season of this
mhm.
little one. So
Yep.
finding a mantra that's going to help you kind of get that self-care as a prime thing on your mind would be really important. So our last tip, and it's a perfect thing to end on, is flexibility. Embrace that flexibility. You might have this amazing plan that you go in with, and you might, have a very different experience. You might have postpartum depression. You might not be able to breastfeed like you thought you would. There might be so many things. I feel like flexibility is something I'm learning that is the new norm as a parent or caregiver of any kind. And so I think as artists, we actually really suit that because we have to be so flexible with what we're creating and our time. And I think we're really set up as artists to be caregivers. I mean,
Yes.
Kaylin, you
We
have met your podcast and your community, you've met so many artist caregivers, and I feel like flexibility would be something they all share.
Oh, definitely. And just that idea of embracing it. Not
Yes.
necessarily being flexible, because I think that's just like a hard thing to do. Um, but just like accepting that you have to be flexible. You have to embrace it, whether you like it or not, right?
Yeah.
Because things do always change. And as you said, Jamie, like you can have these great ideas and plans for what your maternity leave is going to be like. I know many people are like, "Oh, I'm going to organize my pantry and I'm going to, like they think they're going to like have this time to focus on something else when they're not working." And um yeah, those expectations that you put on yourself, you may not be able to meet those. So definitely
Hmm.
embracing flexibility and just trying to plan for uh just um a lot of unpredictable things, so
Yeah.
putting some boundaries in place.
And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that time has changed for me. And I think before I thought art making or, actually a lot of things like even like cleaning my house or having a shower needed a certain amount of time to get done. And you get interrupted so much and it's
Mhm.
just someone else is demanding of your time. And I've had to really embrace being okay with that and
Yep.
just doing as much as I can in the little time that I have and trying to enjoy it. So, yeah,
Yes.
it's a new
Just
lifestyle.
just picture Ross Geller screaming pivot,
Yes,
like
all the
that
time.
is the new parenting mantra.
Yeah.
Pivot. All right, Jamie. Well, we are going to wrap up. We hope that was helpful as you potentially are on a journey of planning a maternity leave as an artist. We really thank you for tuning in and just remind you that, it's really all about finding a balance, embracing seasons, and, just putting at the top of the list, like really what's most important to you, and that
Mhm.
probably is your family. So,
And
uh,
that's okay. We
yes,
we love that. Yeah.
yes,
And
absolutely.
if you want some more episodes as well as joining our thriving community of artists that are some are caregivers, some are not, we really
Mhm.
welcome all types of artists and all types of path career-wise or uh personal journey wise. You
Mhm.
can head over to thrivetogethernetwork.com and that's where we are. And as always, Kaylin and I are here for you. We are cheering you on and we believe in the work that you're doing as thriving artists.